Hey everybody, Derek back again. I'm here to bring you another video for our Walking Dead countdown to the Season 5 premiere. We are exactly 57 days away from our upcoming season of The Walking Dead. Getting closer every day, folks. I'm getting real excited. And tonight what I thought about doing was a video on whether the Hunter slash Terminus Gareth storyline should only be for half of a season or the whole season for season 5. I was kind of having a couple of thoughts about that because, you know, some storylines on The Walking Dead are a whole season and others are half a season, or they could combine various things like they did for season 3. The governor was there the whole season, and of course they only did the show for half of the season with the governor for season 4. It was only for the first 8 episodes, and I've debated whether they're actually going to do an entire season of the Terminus people, or if they're just going to do a half season, and after the first 8, that storyline is done and we move on to the Washington scene. So I'm going to give my thoughts on that. But again, in case you're not caught up, there may be spoilers contained in this video, so if you do not want to be spoiled, please exit the video now and you can come back at a later time. Okay. So again, I want to basically talk about, do I think that the Terminus storyline will last half of a season or a whole season? And I'm going to give you my thoughts on both sides of it. First being a half season, maybe like reasons why it should be only for a half of a season. For one, I think that one of the things that it can be that can be a concern about it lasting a whole season is that it would get too repetitive, and it would also be too much sitting still rather than action and moving. Now we have seen a lot of action in the trailer, and of course I don't really know how many episodes that accounts for. It might be for the first 3 episodes, 4 episodes, I don't know. And the trailers have sometimes varied on just how long into the season there have actually been scenes for. So you don't always know. Now, I think that they could definitely get the ball rolling at the start, but what I worry about is that if we get into the whole season and we get near episode, 9, 10, 11, around there, well, what if they're in hiding and they can't make a move? How are we going to make this show interesting? How are you going to keep everything going? Because if they're trapped, then it's going to be really hard unless they come up with another showdown with them. So I think that part of it's going to be the pacing, and the pacing might be very hard for The Walking Dead to keep up with if they make this a 16-episode plot line. So I think that could definitely be a concern. Another concern is that if they plan on introducing Alexandria Safe Zone this year, which I don't know if they are or not in Season 5, we've seen set photos of the Alexandria Safe Zone, but whether it's coming at the end of this season or not, I have no idea. And I've thought about different things on that. But if they want to introduce Alexandria, they kind of need to have a decent stopping place for Terminus, because I don't think it's a very good idea to have the Terminus people follow them all the way to Washington. I don't. I think that if you get to a certain point on the map, on the trail as they're going along there, I think that, it would be nice if they would chase them along the way, but then at a certain point they would defeat them and then just continue on without many other obstacles other than maybe walkers or somebody's injured or something like that would happen maybe. But I think that if they continue it too long, then you're not going to really be able to have something to carry over with for Alexandria Safe Zone. And I kind of want to see, if they decide to introduce that this season, I want to kind of see more than just one episode of it. But we'll see what happens. But I think that pacing is definitely going to be key for this season. Because if you don't pace it right, it's going to get dull real quick, or it's going to get too repetitive. and they need to be able to keep it exciting. Like the battles between the governor and Rick's group were always on different grounds under different circumstances. They did different things, like the Van Walker bomb, as I like to call it, when they drove the van into the prison perimeter and released all those walkers, was very unique. It was different from just having the governor and his army lined up outside and, with the tank and all of those people. It was different. And the thing is that if they get too far away from Terminus, then they can't really bring them back. So I always thought, well, maybe they would stick around Georgia for a little while trying to get supplies for the trip, and maybe they do, or maybe they don't get recaptured. And they might be able to do like an episode or two, like maybe just keeping them in Georgia for the first 8, maybe not having it move so quickly. So the pacing's going to be key this season. It really is, because if you spend too much time with them shacked up in Gabriel's church or something like that, then we're going to start having a Herschel's farm incident again, where when they spent too much time at that farm, you started going like this, and you wanted more. And this season, I feel, is going to be more, it needs to be more of a fast pace. Yeah, spend a little bit of time at Gabriel's church, and my hope is that maybe they do cross paths with Morgan while they're going away from the people at Terminus. And that's going to lead me to my next point of making the Terminus storyline a full season, or most of the season. Because I feel like, again, one of the things I talked about in my top 10 favorite episodes versus my top 10 least favorite episodes is unpredictability. I don't think The Walking Dead is predictable for the most part. I mean, it depends on what you're looking at. Like, did I think that a character was going to die in season 4, episode 8? Most certainly I did. But who? I didn't know until 5 minutes before it happened. Believe me, I could see it being Herschel, but not until 5 minutes before it happened. But one of the things that I worry about with it, being predictable, is that you're gonna get a whole entire season of the Terminus people chasing Rick's group, chasing Rick's group, chasing Rick's group, chasing Rick's group, and it needs to be able to stay interesting. And I get concerned that a pursuit that lasts for a whole season may not be a good thing, but if they take it to new lengths, then I think that it would work in some ways. Like, here's how I would do it if I was the creators and I wanted to make this last most of the season. But again, with the unpredictability, they could end this storyline at episode 12 or episode 13 if it's appropriate, and just jump forward and have them in Washington. Like, that's the thing, is like, I'm assuming there's going to be jumps in between their trip. And that's why if they do have it only half a season, you might have half the season, then they drive off, and then when we pick up in the spring, they're in Virginia or something, for all we know. I mean, you never know. But if you want to make it last the whole season, then what you need to do is, for the first 8 episodes, you need to keep them in Georgia. And I think they definitely could. I think that they could have a couple episodes where they're gathering supplies, there's conflicts in the group about what to do. Do we go to Washington? Maybe conflicts with Eugene, things like that. Plus, they may do a storyline where, again, somebody's captured and they have to rescue them. I think that would be, again, a way to keep them in Georgia. So if you want to make it last a whole season, for the first 8 episodes at least, you have to keep them in Georgia, in my opinion. And it might be like a cat and mouse game, or like they leave and Terminus people are hunting them down, potentially, and they're shacked up at Gabriel's church, and then maybe somebody might get captured and they go do a rescue mission, and again they rescue them, and then they start to leave and flee. And I think that something I want to see, potentially, if they do a whole season of it, is for them to hook up with Morgan, because I think this would be a great time to reintroduce Morgan, like they say they want to. I say what you do is, the group heads for Morgan's town, which I think is the same, but you head for Rick's hometown, because that's what they did in the comics, but it was for guns, in order to make the trip. They weren't being pursued then. This was actually before the Hunters. Morgan was a member of the group while the Hunters were hunting them. So it's going to be a little different again. But what I think they should do is I think Rick lived in Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, though, because it might be different in the series. But I would have them, flee to Rick's town. Morgan meets up with them, and they make a stand in that town, and be able to battle them off. Because again, that town is well fortified against walkers, and those traps are still good against, people that try to attack the town, even people. Morgan seems to be able to handle himself well. I think he has fought off people, and I think that he has that town set up, and Rick might get the idea of, hey, I know where we can go if we want to be safe from these people. If we need to make a stand, let's go to my hometown where Morgan's at, hope that Morgan's alive, and let's make a stand of it. Because obviously he's not going to tear down all those things. So I think that would definitely be a very good idea if you want to make it last the whole season. First 8 episodes stay in Georgia. After that, get the trip started. Have them stop along the way at Morgan's. Then there's a firefight or something like that. Maybe between the people at Terminus and Rick's group. And either this is the chance to really add Morgan to the group, or you end his storyline and kill him off, maybe. Because one of the things that's really hard is that Lenny James is a very busy actor. He's always doing things. And I've always been surprised that they never tried to get him nailed down for a contract, because I definitely think that he's a fan favorite. But whether it's because Lenny James isn't willing to commit, they can't pay him enough money in order to keep him to commit, or they just don't want to have Morgan's character like they do in the comics, it could be for any number of those reasons. But I hope that maybe they do follow that storyline, and I think that is a way of making it last the whole season. And honestly, me personally, I hope they do make it a whole season, or at least most of it. Because again, you could take this up to like maybe episode 13 or 14, end the Terminus storyline right then and there. And again, shocking. Like, it's unpredictable. Like, you might expect it's going to end at the season finale, but they come out and they do it early, which is possible. I mean, and that's something that, again, Walking Dead working on its unpredictability. It's kind of like, when they killed T-Dog and Lori off in Killer Within. Very unpredictable. Who would have thought that would have happened? And as long as you craft it right so that it ends and you have something available later for Alexandria's Safe Zone, then it's a good idea, and I think that they could do it. So I'll be very interested to see what they do, but again, if it was up to me, that I think it should be a whole season. I think they can do a very good job of keeping them in Georgia for a little while, and then have them start to leave. So I think that it is possible. I hope they go that route, because I think it would keep the season interesting. But I trust the writers. I think they've been doing a very good job so far overall. Great series. The viewers keep going up and up and up, and I hope for the same thing to happen this season. Maybe we get 17 million viewers for the premiere. That would be great. So we'll see what happens. I have complete faith in the writers, complete faith in Kirkman, and complete faith in our actors that we are going to have a great season. So I want to bring this video to a close. Thank you again, everyone. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. Feel free to subscribe for more. I got many more videos coming. We're very close to doing our the throwback reviews for all the episodes, which I will start on day 51 days left. So I'm anxious for that, and I'm anxious for the start of the season. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.